Today, we are diving deep into the powerful, almost spooky connection between the stories we tell ourselves and the actual reality we experience. It's a wild ride. So what on earth could a monster from Star Wars, the feeling of a solid object, and the code of the Jedi possibly have in common? Well, it turns out they are all massive clues that tell us how we build our world, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. And we're going to start in a universe we all know and love, Star Wars, because hidden in its lore is this incredible story about one of our deepest, most human fears, the fear of loss. So there's this character, Aboleth. Picture this. She's a mortal woman living with a family of beings who are basically immortal gods. As you can imagine, as she got older, this terrifying fear started to grow inside her. The fear that she would lose them, that she would be left behind. And that desperation, it set everything in motion. So trying to hang on to her family, she messes with these forbidden powers to make herself immortal too. But the action, because it came from a place of pure fear, just twisted her. It turned her into this monster. And in the most tragic twist you can imagine, her family was so horrified by what she'd become that they left her. They abandoned her. The very thing she was trying to prevent, she made it happen. Her story literally became her reality. And this whole saga really highlights two completely different ways of thinking about immortality. You've got one path, right? The one driven by fear. It's this biological trap, desperately clinging to your own life until it becomes a curse. But then you have the Jedi ideal. It's more of a spiritual continuity, where you let go of yourself to become part of something way, way bigger. One is a prison you build for yourself, the other is a kind of freedom. Aboleth's story is a perfect example of how a belief can literally create reality. But, and this is the crazy part, this isn't just for sci-fi. Think about the chair you're sitting in right now. The fact that it feels solid, that's a story too. It's a story your brain is telling you. Yeah, we tend to think of the world as being made of dead, boring stuff. But what if it's all just alive? Physics today basically points to something just as strange. The atoms making up that chair you're on, they're 99.9% empty space. So when you touch it, you're not actually touching anything. It's the electromagnetic force from your atoms and the chair's atoms repelling each other. If it weren't for that invisible force field, you would literally fall right through the floor. Okay, so that leads to the million-dollar question. If the world isn't solid at all, then why does it feel so convincingly solid? The answer, it turns out, isn't out there in the universe. It's inside your own head. So let's talk about the architect of your entire reality, your brain. We love to think that our eyes and ears are like little video cameras, just passively recording the world as it is. But that's not even close to how it works. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's constantly making its best guess about what is causing all the fuzzy signals it's getting. You don't see the world. You see your brain's best guess of the world. And it all happens in this lightning-fast loop. See, your brain starts with a belief about the world. That's your prior. Then it gets all this messy data from your senses. It notices where the data doesn't match its prediction. That's the prediction error. And it uses that error to update its belief and construct the final image you see. This whole process happens so quickly that you don't even realize you're basically living inside a controlled hallucination, generated by you, for you. The physicist Hermann von Helmholtz nailed this way back in the 19th century. He said, "Our senses don't give us a picture of reality, they just give us vague clues that our brain has to piece together." I mean, think about this. The image that hits your retina is literally upside down, and your brain just flips it for you, no questions asked. Makes you wonder, right? What other huge things about reality is your brain just helpfully fixing before you ever become aware of them? So, if our reality is really just an educated guess, what's shaping that guess? Well, the short answer is everything. Those prior beliefs we just talked about, they don't come from nowhere. They're built out of our culture, the language we speak, the philosophies we're taught, and maybe most of all, our deepest fears and desires. Aboleth's crippling fear of being alone wasn't just some feeling. It was a powerful prior that her brain used to interpret everything, and it ultimately built the monstrous realities she was so desperate to escape. Just look at the Jedi and Sith codes. They are perfect examples of two competing sets of priors. The Jedi worldview says peace comes from suppressing your emotions to serve the group. The Sith worldview is the complete opposite. It says strength comes from passion, from conflict, from putting your own will first. If you adopt one of these as your operating system, it completely changes how you perceive every single thing that happens to you. But what if there's another option entirely? The philosopher Alan Watts pointed out that a lot of us operate with this built-in prior that our own nature is something wild and dangerous that has to be tamed. He contrasted that with some Eastern philosophies that suggest a third way, just trusting yourself, trusting in the spontaneous part of you, the part that beats your heart without you thinking about it, not fighting it, just flowing with it.
And that leads us to one of the most compelling and honestly, one of the greatest characters in all of Star Wars, Kreia. Her philosophy of volition is all about this. She argued that the real path isn't to blindly follow the Jedi or the Sith. The real power is in having the will to challenge those beliefs, to consciously choose the priors that build your reality.
So if our perception is a construct, and if we can actually choose the beliefs that do the constructing, what does that say about what we are? This is where things get really, really mind-bending.
The thinker Terence McKenna had this absolutely wild idea. He suggested that there's some kind of ultimate form of humanity at the very end of time, and that it's so powerful it's actually influencing us right now, like a shadow being cast backward from the future into our present. And this was his core idea, and it flips everything we think we know on its head. What if you're not a body that has a consciousness? What if you are a consciousness that projects a body? He called us hyperdimensional objects and said our physical bodies are just the three-dimensional shadow that our true, higher-dimensional self casts into this reality. In this framework, death isn't the end. Not at all. It's just the moment that the shadow is withdrawn. The higher-dimensional consciousness that was casting it, the real you, is totally unaffected. That's a kind of immortality, not of the flesh, but of your very essence. And this brings us right back to where we began. From ancient myths to the cutting edge of neuroscience, the message seems to be the same. Our reality is shaped by the stories we believe. So the final question is this: if your reality truly is a story, who's holding the pen?